Let's get this show on the road here, I think. So we are going to go, we're going to be live again. In fact, we are live right now. And what we're going to be doing today is shooting a video as I review this product from Plugable. This is their, what do they call this thing? This is the 2.5 gigabit USB Ethernet adapter. And we are simulcasting on Amazon Live right now. And I just need to check my lip sync. Live right now. Yeah, so I've got to, and we'll fix that. And we'll get the ball rolling here. Hopefully that has fixed the issue. So let's take a look now and see if my lip sync is better. We'll get the ball rolling. Yep. Hopefully that it has. Perfect. Okay. All right. So today's project, boys and girls, is to look at this device, which is a 2.5 gigabit per second Ethernet adapter. And why don't we just take it out of the box while I am getting set up here. And so we're going to run a test to my Mac. And what I thought I would do is just kind of work through the workflow as we're setting up this test. And what we're just going to be doing like a simple iPerf test. This will be one of these faster videos, hopefully, because there's not much to see with an Ethernet adapter. Either works or it doesn't. And this is the first one that I have seen that is running at 2.5 gigabits, because usually you get a 1 gigabit adapter. Right now, this is like $40, and I'm sure they will be coming down in price as time goes on. And we'll explain in the video why you might want a 2.5 adapter, and you would want one if you've got like one of these gigabit internet connections, which I don't have. Or perhaps that 10 gig stuff is a little too rich for your blood right now. You can get a 2.5 gig and get fast, double your speed over regular Ethernet. I'm just going to tear open the box here because it doesn't really matter. We're going to recycle this box. By the way, I should mention this came in free of charge from Plugable, but they're not paying for this review or reviewing any of this as we go live here. So that's what it looks like. So normally, if you want to go 10 gig, you got these big Thunderbolt things, but 2.5 can work with just a regular old USB connection, so you don't need all this extra horsepower. So this is a lot smaller, and I think over time we'll see the 10 gig adapters get this small, but right now that's the price, the size difference and the price difference. These are about $150. These are $40. So if you don't need the 10, you can get by with the 2. Good stuff there. So I think what we're going to do is shoot a quick intro video. I'm just going to organize myself here. It's funny, I've been having a relatively productive week so far. I haven't been doing a lot of long, involved reviews, but we've done a lot of short stuff that you'll be seeing here and on the Extras channel. I've had a lot of stuff to review and edit this week. All right, I want to say hello to some friends first before we begin. So looking at the chat here, we got the usual crowd shuffling in, as the great Billy Joel would say. So Recipe Bob is here, B. Talbaba, Martin Paoloni, Nicholas Cheney, all the usuals. Cedar Lake, Travis Rhodes, John Calvo, Vince B. Eric's Variety Channel is here. Oh, it's coming over as Wise. Oh, you know why? Because I knew I screwed up something here. Shooting a video about, I should fix this right now. Shooting a review of a 2.5 gig Ethernet adapter. So I'll fix that title so that people don't get confused. Yes, so we are totally off there. And it appears as though my stream video output quality is very low also. So we may have a whole bunch of things not working correctly today. What will happen if the YouTube stream gets any worse is I'm going to disable YouTube and just stay on Amazon. So if we have YouTube problems, go to the Amazon link. You can watch me there. And actually, the quality has been better on Amazon than it's been here. So there you go. Tasting the Heat is here. I've got a lot of fans that are into hot sauces, which is fun because I like hot sauces too, but I've never actually reviewed one on the channel. Mitchell Wood's got the Wisecam today, and they're great. They're good deals. And I apologize if the title is incorrect. We are not looking at the Wise Cam today because we did that a day and a half ago. Today, it is the Ethernet adapter here. And before we start, I am going to check my buffer because I have the title incorrect, and that means the tweet that goes out will be wrong, and everything's going to get all screwed up. So I'm going to try to jump into my buffer and fix this before it gets bad. And of course, I logged in. Let's see if it gets me. There we go. All right. And I may have already tweeted out the wrong thing. And I got, all this stuff I got to do. So I just did an Instagram post. I don't usually do Instagram. I feel so uncool because I just don't do Instagram. It's not my thing, It should be my thing, but it's not. So I wonder what's the, let's see where that barcode takes us. Let's take a look here. So let's take a picture and we'll open it up in Safari. And this takes you to, well, it takes you right to their support page. So I just got a text from my sister wondering if my internet is working. It is working just fine. So this is the page that it takes you to here. All right. Okay, so I got to check my Twitter real quick and make sure the wrong title did not go out, and then we'll shoot the intro to this thing, and we'll see what happens. Yeah, so Eric's Variety Channel, I'm glad you were here because you should have had that already, and I don't know if you've been checking the tracking. The Postal Service has that laptop like going all over the place, so it was supposed to be there like 2 days ago. So if it's not there by tomorrow, email me and we'll try to call the Postal Service and see what's going on. I'm guessing there's just a slowdown given the volume of shipping, but it was weird because it was on track to be there and then it suddenly wasn't there. So let me know. I am happy to help with that. All right, the good news is it looks like nothing fired off yet on my buffer. So we're going to get into the video shoot here in a second and go from there. So let me pull up my live app here on Amazon, and then we'll shoot some video footage of the intro, and then we'll kick it out. Oh, Eric, so let me send you the tracking number. I will email it to you right now before I forget. And it looks like my stream health is back to normal now, so we are okay for now. What's happening now is with everyone home working, the residential internet, especially where I live, has been really bad. So it's been challenging. Although I've been doing okay. It hasn't been all that consistent depending on what's going on in the neighborhood. All right, folks, I'm just going to send Eric a quick email here to get him his tracking number because I thought it sent it to him when I set the thing up, but so let me just do that real quick and then we'll go from there. Okay, hang on one second, folks. I just got to check one thing here. Eric, why don't you send me a quick email, Lon@Lon.TV, and I will reply with the tracking number. Because right now it looks as though, I'm just going to check it right here, it is still in transit. And they said it's moving in their system, whatever that means. But we will keep an eye on it for you. So just send me an email and I will get you that tracking number either right now or right after I finish up. Okay. Recipe Bob says, I'm breaking the internet. I break the internet every day because I don't have all that much internet flowing out of my house. Okay. Yeah, so here's the deal with YouTube, everybody. Because of the issues with everybody working from home and everything else, and because I'm not a prolific live streamer on YouTube, the likelihood of this stream not being consistent across different CDNs around the world is high. So if you click on the link in the video description, you can go and find me on Amazon, which has a much better quality image. And Mitchell Wood has a good question. how I'm going to be testing this if I don't have gigabit Ethernet. Internet. We're going to be testing throughput, and the throughput would be the same test if we were on the internet or not. It's all the same thing. All right, and that's right. I will use iPerf, and we're just going to push a whole bunch of data down. And this is one of these videos that the actual testing of the product is going to be very quick, but there's a lot of explanation about why you might need this, because most people don't need this, but for those that do, they will have an option, and it's not all that expensive. So there you go. Okay, so let me do my intro. So we're going to be recording a video as we do the live stream like we've been doing. And I know some people come in and they're like, why is he saying the same thing 4 times over? Because I'm doing multiple takes to get it right. So that is how we're going to do that. Okay, let me go and hit this. Zam is watching 4 different live streams. Too many people are streaming. Yeah, we're all just sitting around doing our work. So we figured, hey, let's bring the world in and have a little chat. This is gonna be fun though, because I've got a lot of things to hook up, and you all like it when I hook things up to things. So this is a fun little project. Okay, let's kick this off. 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV. Today we're taking a look at a 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and today we're taking a look at a USB Ethernet adapter from Pluggable. And you might wonder, see, my words are not. See, once we hit 4 o'clock, I can't talk anymore. Lewis is asking about the Samsung tablet. I shot that review this morning, and you will see it very shortly, probably tomorrow. Yeah, not tonight, but you'll probably see it tomorrow. And it's okay. It's not as good as the NVIDIA Shield, unfortunately. Recipe Bob and Martin are over in Amazon. They say it looks better there. And Linus is building a computer right now on his channel, which is probably why YouTube is going to be slow for everybody else. So he is going live. All right. Thank you, Eric, for choosing me over Linus. 3, 2, 1. Hey, everybody. It's Lon.TV. Today we're taking a look at an Ethernet adapter that plugs into your USB port. Nothing new about that, right? Well, this one happens to be a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet adapter, which is faster than the 1 gig adapters we typically see. And we're going to see what you can do with one of these, why you might need one, and how this individual one performs here in this review. But I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that this came in free of charge from Pluggable, who manufactures this device. All of the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Nobody is paying for this review, nor is anyone reviewing or approving what you're about to see before it was uploaded. So let's get into it now and see what this adapter is all about. All right, so I think what we'll do next is kind of talk about the prerequisites of what you need to use this thing, because you could just plug it into your switch and it would work. But if you don't have a switch that can support multiple gigabits, then it won't work. So that is what we're going to be working on here. My sister is having internet problems, and I am unable to assist. So why is my clip missing here? Give me 1 second, folks. I just got to find the clip we just recorded, and then we'll pick it up. It's weird. I've got like files hiding everywhere on this. There it is. Okay. Edward Doyle on Amazon wants to know if I use a teleprompter. I do not, which is why we do things over and over again sometimes. And the reason is that I've considered it, but part of what is going on here? Sorry, folks, I'm just having some problems with my computer hardware in the file that I just recorded. Part of the challenge I found with it is that in using the teleprompter, it's another thing I got to fiddle with. So right now I'm already switching cameras and starting and stopping recording and getting all the stuff to work at the same time, and having like one more thing to deal with was hard. The other issue with teleprompters for me is that I'm often looking at the product, so it's hard to look and touch and feel while reading a script. And so I've just trained myself over time to try to at least do 3 or 4 sentences that are cohesive, and then I stop and then pick it up on another recording after that. And that's been kind of how I do it, because it just would take more time. And so what I'm doing, as you'll see when I'm recording, I'm actually switching these cameras live. So basically I've been live streaming to my hard drive for years, and that's been kind of the track with it. And And that's how I do things. So it just seems to work when I can just talk. And sometimes I do it 4 or 5, 12 times. Sometimes less, sometimes more. All right, let's play that clip back, and then I'll show you what I'm hooking up here. 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and today we're taking a look at an Ethernet adapter that plugs into your USB port. Nothing new about that, right? Well, this one happens to be a 2.5 gigabit Ethernet adapter, which is faster than the 1 gig adapters we typically see. And we're going to see what you can do with one of these, why you might need one, and how this individual one performs here in this review. But I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that this came in free of charge from Pluggable, who manufactures this device. All of the opinions you're about to hear are my own. Nobody is paying for this review, nor is anyone reviewing or approving what you're about to see before it was uploaded. So let's get into it now and see what this adapter is all about. I think, let me take a look at this shot here, because we're going to put some hardware on the table. And Recipe Bob on the Amazon chat says, looks like Lon is tech support for his family. Yes, I am the quintessential tech support person. So since I started streaming, my mother called me already, and my sister called me, and nobody's getting called back yet, because I've got work to do. We got to get this done here before. So it used to be like Friday was Friday. Now Friday doesn't really matter anymore. So I just keep working. I'll probably do some stuff tomorrow. I really want to do an update on my Mister, because I just did a bunch of new stuff with the Mister. So dust off of there. I could probably lower the angle of that shot a bit. And what you're seeing here is a 10 gig switch. And what these switches do, of course, is interconnect your network, but you can't get the 2.5 if your switch can't handle that. And unfortunately, most routers that people have are only gigabit. So you need extra hardware to make all this stuff work. And I need to find a power cable, so bear with me, folks. This will work. See, the funny part with my sister asking me for tech support is that I used to work with her at the family business. And so I used to have to deal with her technical issues. But unfortunately, I cannot help her. She should probably call Comcast if the cable is not working there. All right, so I think what we might do is have like a grand entrance for our switch here. Now, what's neat about this switch, I bought this, if you're watching on Amazon, I will pull it up on the product carousel. This is like $350 for just 4 ports. I mean, it's just crazy how this stuff is still this expensive. There are a few switches now that are starting to come down in price, but you only get like 1 or 2 10 gig ports on it. So these things are pricey. Zam says, is that the new Nintendo Switch? Yeah, this is what a Switch really is for all these kids out there. Now, here's something to look at on the front here, and we'll talk about this when we do the video, or we shoot the video part of this, is that these 10 gig switches also can do 5 gigs and 2.5 gigs, which is what this is. So when we attach this in a minute, we should see the right-hand light up as 2.5G. And we're going to connect it to my Mac Mini on the other side of the room. I got this big, long Cat6 cable we're going to hook up to it. And that should show up there. If you're looking for the Amazon link, it is in the video description. So you can click on that, and that will take you right over. They don't even let me put links in the chat. Let me see if it'll let me do it now. I don't think it will. But if you're having a lot of trouble on YouTube with it stuttering and stuff, there it goes. Yeah, you can click on that. You can go right over to Amazon and watch me over there. And I'm sure the folks at Amazon would enjoy your visit. So there you go. Okay, so now what we're going to do is I think we'll have the switch kind of hide off screen here. And then we'll talk about the adapter and how it works and what you need to use it with. And then we'll get into hooking it up. Edward Doyle in the Amazon chat says he used to be lent out to his wife's friends for tech support. Yeah, I get those calls all the time. And I help. I try to help as best I can. And a lot of times now people are asking, well, here's one of the other things I do on tech support. is if someone's looking to buy a computer, I will direct them to, depending on their level of expertise, I will direct them to Chromebooks and other things that aren't as technically involved as a Windows computer might be, depending on the situation. So that's some of the things that I've been doing there as well. And it's great to see so many of you joining the Amazon chat there. Great. Okay, so we're going to, and Miami Father is over on Amazon now too. All right, so we're going to pick it up from here, and we'll just talk about the hardware and what you need to use this. 3, 2, 1. All right, so let's take a closer look now at the hardware. Not much to see here. You've got your 2.5 gigabit Ethernet connection there. This will use the same Cat5e cable as your existing gigabit Ethernet. I would recommend probably using Cat6 if you're going over longer distances, but you can get by with the same cable you're using now, and it should, depending on length and circumstances, deliver the 2.5 gig connection. On the other end is a USB connection, and you'll notice this is just a regular USB-A connector. It doesn't need more than the 5 gigabits that the existing USB 3 standard can provide, so we should see a perfect score, hopefully, on this when we plug it into the computer and start running some benchmarks on it. If you have USB-C, they have a little cable here inside of the USB 3 adapter that you can pop out to plug directly into a USB-equipped computer. Oh, I was doing so well, and then I totally messed it up. So let me start this one more time. And we got some other folks in on the Amazon side. AJ Rogers came over as well. And yeah, the Amazon Live thing is really well done. And what's nice is that I can, as you're watching it, I can click on a specific product and you can see exactly what I'm talking about. And, of course, where you can buy the product, which is what they want to do. And although it's listed on the screen, I get an affiliate cut of whatever you click on and buy on the thing there. That's how this works. So, okay, let me start this again. That was a good take. So I know what I want to say, and I just want to start this again here and see where it goes. And just check my. There he is. Okay, I'm going to email Eric real quick his tracking number, and hopefully that thing will get to him because it was supposed to be there like Wednesday, and it's Friday already. Or maybe, yeah, I think it went out like Monday or Friday night. I can't remember. Okay. But Eric, if it doesn't get there tomorrow, give me a call and we'll get in touch with the Postal Service. I did insure it, so if worse comes to worse, we'll take the hit. Or I'll take the hit. Okay. 3, 2, 1. So let's take a closer look now at the hardware. This is pretty much a regular Ethernet adapter. If you are connecting it to a gigabit switch, it will work exactly the way your current Ethernet adapters do. They say on the packaging that you can use a Cat5e cable and get the 2.5 gig speeds, but I would suggest probably going to a Cat6 cable at a minimum, especially if you're going over longer distances. The device itself just plugs into your USB connection on your computer, and you'll notice here that it's a USB-A connector because USB 3.0 transits 5 gigabits per second over that USB cable, and this only needs 2.5, so it should work within those bounds. But it also has a USB-C connector here on the cable if you want to plug it into a MacBook or other device that has USB-C on board. And of course, USB-C is a confusing standard, and even though you're connecting it to a USB-C connector, it's only running at 5 gigabits per second. This is not a Gen 2 USB device, just Gen 1. But when we do test out the throughput in a few minutes, we'll check it both on a direct USB-C connection and then through a USB-A connection just to see if there's any difference in speed. Now, just buying this adapter does not get you faster Ethernet speeds. It has to be plugged into a switch that's capable of running at this bandwidth. Now, I happen to have this rather expensive one that I bought a little while back. This is a Netgear switch that has 4 10 gig ports on it. However, this will, of course, be backwards compatible with 1 gigabit Ethernet, and it works with 5 gigabit and 2.5 gigabits. And when we connect this up in a minute or two, you'll see that we'll have one green light on the right-hand side when we're connected to the switch. But if you plug this into any other gigabit Ethernet switch, it's only going to run at 1 gigabit. Now the question is, who needs these things if we're all running on these slower internet connections? Well, a lot of folks now are getting gigabit fiber Ethernet connections from their ISPs, and you can easily saturate that full gig and maybe not get your full performance out of it. Something like this would allow you to get better performance out of those high-speed fiber connections, especially the ones that go north of 1 gigabit. If you're transferring large files throughout your home or office, you'll be able to transfer them twice as fast through a single adapter, again, provided you're hooked up to the proper switch. So limited audience initially for this, but I think over time as connections get faster and files get bigger, more of us will be using these things. The price point on this is $39, so it's significantly less than some of the 10 gig adapters that are out there, and I can see 2.5 gigabit becoming more prevalent in homes first versus the 10. Another interesting thing when you compare a 2.5 gig adapter to a 10 gig adapter is the size. So this is a Thunderbolt 3 10 gig Ethernet adapter, and at the time I'm recording this video, this is about the smallest one you can get. So it's quite a big difference in size here, but I would anticipate within the next year or two, this will soon be about this size. But right now, if you want something small and portable, 2.5 gigs is about all you're going to be able to do at this size and price point. So let's get all of our equipment hooked up here and start running some tests and see if we can push 2.5 gigs over this USB adapter. All right, how did that sound, everybody? I think that sounded okay. The only thing I said was like some of these gigabit Ethernet ISP things, but I think I can get away with that. We'll play that back real quick. See, now it's unusual for me to go that long without stopping, but I was on a roll and I didn't want to stop. So let's see how that came out. And you'll notice if you were watching the stream the other day, what we did is I actually fixed a few things. So, this is what happened. So we did that. We looked at this iPad USB-C dock, and I was whacking it because it didn't fit with my iPad keyboard case. Well, as it turns out, there was a little spacer in here that comes out, and then it fits with the keyboard case. So I had to reconfigure the whole video because I was totally off on that. So the final video, if you go and watch it on Amazon, you'll see that I changed the whole video around. It was kind of funny how that worked. All right, so let me go and just rename this real quick. And it's good too to have a little discussion and because like this video could be done in 2 minutes, if that. And you want to go a little bit longer, especially on YouTube. So it's good to have some explanation. And the reality is most people don't need this unless they've got a super fast connection. Let's take a look and see how that went. So I know I'm going to get a little bit knocked around on the internet thing. I just want to listen to it again. 3, 2, 1. So let's take a closer look now at the hardware. This is pretty much a regular Ethernet adapter. If you are connecting it to a gigabit switch, it will work exactly the way your current Ethernet adapters do. They say on the packaging that you can use a Cat5e cable and get the 2.5 gig speeds, but I would suggest probably going to a Cat6 cable at a minimum, especially if you're going over longer distances. The device itself just plugs into your USB connection on your computer, and you'll notice here that it's a USB-A connector because USB 3.0 transits 5 gigabits per second over that USB cable, and this only needs 2.5, so it should work within those bounds. But it also has a USB-C connector here on the cable if you want to plug it into a MacBook or other device that has USB-C on board. And of course, USB-C is a confusing standard, and even though you're connecting it to a USB-C connector, it's only running at 5 gigabits per second. This is not a Gen 2 USB device, just Gen 1. But when we do test out the throughput in a few minutes, we'll check it both on a direct USB-C connection and then through a USB-A connection just to see if there's any difference in speed. Now, just buying this adapter does not get you faster Ethernet speeds. It has to be plugged into a switch that's capable of running at this bandwidth. Now, I happen to have this rather expensive one that I bought a little while back. This is a Netgear switch that has 4 10 gig ports on it. However, this will, of course, be backwards compatible with 1 gigabit Ethernet and it works with 5 gigabit and 2.5 gigabit. So when we connect this up in a minute or two, you'll see that we'll have one green light on the right-hand side when we're connected to the switch. But if you plug this into any other gigabit Ethernet switch, it's only going to run at 1 gigabit. Now the question is, who needs these things if we're all running on these slower internet connections? Well, a lot of folks now are getting gigabit fiber Ethernet connections from their ISPs, and you can easily saturate that full gig and maybe not get your full performance out of it. Something like this would allow you to get better performance out of those high-speed fiber connections, especially the ones that go north of 1 gigabit. If you're transferring large files throughout your home or office, you'll be able to transfer them twice as fast through a single adapter, again, provided you're hooked up to the proper switch. So limited audience initially for this, but I think over time, as connections get faster and files get bigger, more of us will be using these things. The price point on this is $39, so it's significantly less than some of the 10 gig adapters that are out there, and I can see 2.5 gigabit becoming more prevalent in homes first versus the 10. Another interesting thing when you compare a 2.5 gig adapter to a 10 gig adapter is the size. So this is a Thunderbolt 3 10 gig Ethernet adapter, and at the time I'm recording this video, this is about the smallest one you can get. So it's quite a big difference in size here, but I would anticipate within the next year or two, this will soon be about this size. But right now, if you want something small and portable, 2.5 gigs is about all you're going to be able to do at this size and price point. So let's get all of our equipment hooked up here and start running some tests and see if we can push 2.5 gigs over this USB adapter. Okay, I can live with that. So someone was asking about the teleprompter before. It is rare that I could speak for that long without screwing up. So I'm happy with how that came out. I think I could have done a little bit better on the gig ISP thing, but I'm not going to kill myself over that. All right, so now I need to find a HDMI thing, which I have in this mess of this rat's nest I got down here. Where did that thing go? So we're going to start hooking stuff up. So let me hook up my, I'm going to hook up my network first. And the reason why I'm connecting my home network is so that everybody gets an IP address. So watch what happens when I connect the gigabit network. So my home network is only gigabit, even though I've got this 10 gig switch. Nothing hooks up to it at the moment. So when I connect that, you're going to see that it's going to give us 2 of these lights. If I hook the right cable up, hang on. This is the wrong cable. This is the one I want. You're going to see 2 orange lights because that's what gigabit looks like on this switch. So it'll connect, maybe. There it goes. Okay, so now you're seeing 2 orange lights there. And now I'm going to take this super long cable that I was using the other day for our Mocha test. And this thing is Cat 6, which I think is important for this distance. Let me just double check here. Yeah, nobody makes Cat 7, even better. Okay, so we're going to take the Cat 7 cable and we're going to connect it to the Mac on the other side of the room. Now you'll see that when I make the connection, it'll light up double green, which means that it's getting a 10 gig connection to that Mac. So I'm just going to go over here and make sure that works. And I almost pulled the whole thing off the desk. Did you see that? And we're on the other side of my room here, so that's why that happens. So we're going to plug in to the Mac Mini. And I paid extra to get this 10 gig adapter, and it comes in handy at times like these. Now, my plan is at some point to upgrade my Mac that I work from down here, and then Jake and I can work on video projects on a NAS, because right now we're tossing them back and forth with, sorry, I'm just going to boot up the Wi-Fi perf here. Jake and I are pushing these things back and forth with solid-state drives using the old-fashioned sneaker net. Okay, the IP address on this one is 5.5. So let me run back over here. And I think what we'll do is we'll run a little test here before we actually record the shot, just to get a an idea as to how that's going to work. I'm just going to bring this cable over a little bit here. I'm going to wrap it around my Mac also to keep it from moving. So you'll see that we have two, maybe hard to see there, yeah, two green lights on the yellow cable here because that one's running at 10 gig to the Mac over there. All right, so now I've got to find my little hub thing. Now this is crazy because I just saw that thing this morning because I moved it out of the way and it must have fallen off the desk like everything else does. Here it is. And what we're going to do is use this for my, where is it? For my HDMI out from the Mac that we're plugging this into. But we're also going to end up plugging the adapter in. So I'll probably do it from this side so we can see it on camera. So we're going to plug that adapter in a minute. And then I've got to grab the HDMI cable from my video ingest box, my NDI box, so we can get the Mac connected. All right, and now I'm going to load up my backdrop thing. And hopefully input 5 will be up with my Mac screen. Is it? Not yet. All right, we got to figure that out real quick. McRambro wants to know if this is a PoE switch. It is not. I do have a PoE switch though, but this one is not that. You would think for the price that they're charging for it, it should do that, but it doesn't. So it is strictly just a 10 gig switch. And this 10 gig equipment is not all that prevalent yet. You'd think you would see more of it at this point. And you know, there's always something that doesn't work right. And today, the Mac has decided that it's not going to share its, I didn't ask you to see, then the lady starts talking. Siri picks up. Let's see, there we go. Let's plug that in real quick and see if we get an image. I think we have to reboot the Mac here. Cycle the box too. And the problem is this Mac does not like my TriCaster. So if I plug it directly into the TriCaster, it keeps like, the video keeps dropping on it. So David Tuttle was curious about, so I was saying a couple of weeks ago that I thought I had come back from CES with the virus that everybody is rightfully concerned about. And he was wondering why I thought I had it. So I came back from CES with like 103 fever. I'm sorry, I'm just troubleshooting here to get this thing working. And I don't get sick that often, and this like really knocked me out. And like even the night before I got back, so the night before I even felt like I was sick, I felt like drained and exhausted. A lot of the symptoms that people were reporting, the exhaustion, the cough, I had all of that. And the exhaustion in particular was interesting because I hadn't felt exhaustion like that before. And it was like not a tired exhaustion. It was just like, I just need to go and lay down kind of exhaustion. And I'm sorry, I was rebooting my Mac here to see if we can get the thing to work here. So it was, that was what it was. So then I got on the plane and I felt pretty lousy the whole way home. And I got home really late because my connecting flight got delayed and all this. It was a horrible trip home. And then I got home at like 1:30 in the morning and I checked my temperature and I thought maybe it would be like 99 or 100 or something. It was 103.5 and I was like, oh my gosh. So I took some fever medication and it didn't get any higher than that, but it didn't go down either. And then I was like super chilly, like shaken and cold, and I had this cough was developing. I mean, it could have been anything. It could have been the flu, who knows? But here's why I think it was not the flu. So the night after I got back, and I'm sick as a dog, and it wasn't like, there was no sniffles, it was just fever, chill, really cold. The night after I got back, my wife's friend does those pampered chef parties. And so we had a whole bunch of people at the house. And now I was sequestered away in my bonus room upstairs. But my daughter's friend's little brother was there with her mom and his mom. It was a whole bunch of people there. My wife's friends, my daughter's friends, everybody's over except me. I'm upstairs like dying on the couch. And one of the kids who catches everything started wandering around the house, and he got into my room where I was and was touching everything that I had been touching, and then he used the bathroom that I was using, and then about 3 or 4 days later, he gets like super sick with a fever and a cough and all this other stuff, and they take him to the doctor because his didn't go away. Like I was about to go to the doctor myself. That's how bad it was for me. And I'm sorry, I'm still trying to get my thing to connect here. And so he goes to the doctor, and they test the kid for flu because he was pretty down and out. He tested negative for flu, and then his whole family got it, and it kind of went from there. So, you know, and at CES, it happened really right as word from China, things were getting bad. And there's no doubt that people were out running around to stuff. And of course, at CES, there's a large number of folks from China, including many from Wuhan. In fact, the area that I was in was one of the more prevalent areas where there were some exhibitors from Wuhan, because Wuhan's not known for consumer electronics. Incidentally, they make a lot of the masks and things that are in short supply right now, which is part of the reason why they're in short supply. But I really think I picked it up there. And I may have gotten it from them. I may have gotten it from, so my friend that was with me, her husband works at a hospital, so she could have gotten it from him, and then I got it from her. Who knows? I mean, there's a whole bunch of possibilities here. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my computer to pop up on screen here, which it is not. So we're going to switch to a different adapter. Hang on, folks. Bear with me. This is the troubleshooting part of the day. So the bottom line is, I don't know if I had it or not, but what I hope to see in the next couple, hopefully the next 2 weeks or so, is that maybe they'll have some antibody tests that I could take, or an antibody test, and I would know, because I would be able to be a lot more useful to people if I could leave the house and help somewhere, because we have a small community where I am, so everyone's like, everything is volunteer where I live, so a lot of the help that our ambulance is I think our ambulance is not volunteer, but our fire department is. So those things are really important, and I think there's a lot of people that could be helpful, both in going back to work, but also helping others right now too. Bear with me, folks. I'm almost there. I'm going to hook up a different box here and see if... oh, that's right. Everything's not connecting. All right, let me get a... Sorry. I may have to connect this box to a different connector here. Let's see. Here's an Ethernet. So we'll see what happens. I think we'll have some idea as to where we're at pretty soon. But given how easy it spreads, I'm kind of thinking like I probably had it. Because it was a pretty bad fever, and I was like 103 for at least 3 or 4 days. David Tuttle said that he had gone in to get a flu test in January. He wished he had done it because he didn't. He had yes, he was down. I'll tell you what, I really think, and I think again it depends on where you were, who you were exposed to, all that kind of stuff. But I think it's been out there. Gosh, this stuff is not working today. All right, let's try plugging it in directly and see if we can get away with, and I'll show you what will happen if I plug it in directly. It's going to drop out on us if I do that, but let's try it, because you never know. All right, so we'll hook it up that way, and that'll put us into input 3. And okay, so, but you see what happens here? Watch. It's going to continually like jump back and forth there. So that's not ideal. But let's see if it can get away with it there. So David Bound says, yeah, so typically the ambulance associations, are, like I think our ambulance association is a nonprofit, but they pay the responders, and our fire department, right, is fully volunteer. In fact, I've got some friends on the fire department. And they're great. I mean, they really, they're very professional. And because when I first moved into my house, sorry folks, we just got to figure out how to get all this stuff working. So the problem is I can't quit the, see normally what I would do is quit my TriCaster screen here and just jump back in. But if I do that, I lose the stream. So we can't do that today. So I've got to figure out how to get this to work with my equipment that is currently on and operating. There's always something in this place that doesn't work when we go live. But you know what I could end up doing is just shooting the screen directly. Let's see if that works. Oh, I know what I can do. I could try. I think the NDI thing is just like not working. There we go. Spark 2 is up now. Okay, so let's grab Spark 2. And I'll grab the Ethernet cable that was coming out of it. Let's see if it'll work now. Let's try that real quick. And let's see if 6 comes up. Yeah, just both of these things are just showing up as black. Why is that? All right, so let me try one other thing here. This is the, so the problem is if I use this, it's going to, that's not going to work either. You know what we're going to do, folks? We're just going to shoot the screen. And that's all we're going to need to do. So we'll come back to all of this stuff here in a second. Okay. All right. The good news is the Mac on the other side of the room is still connected. And I'm going to move this out of the way for now. And we're going to come back to that. We'll put this here. And then I think I don't have a lot of cable length. So I think what we'll do, because I want to be able to show the image there. Grab my little patch cable here. All right. So we ended on me, so we're going to pick up here. And we'll see where it goes. So John Cat was wondering, do I feel better now? Oh yeah, I feel fine now. It took about, I'd say about 5 days to get better. And it was funny because another thing that kind of mirrored what other people were experiencing was that there was a day where I was feeling better, and I went out and took my dog for a walk for the first time in that whole time since I had gotten back, and I was starting to feel like better, and then it like came back, and all of a sudden I had 103 again. It was just like, just would not go away. And after about 4 or 5 days, and for me, like to be sick that long is very unusual. I don't usually get sick all that long. So, all right. And Zerganzo says 26 million get the flu every year. Yeah, this is the problem with this, is that although most people will be okay, the severity of this is so much more than the typical flu, especially for those who are dealing with other medical issues. What's crazy is just the range of experiences that people have with it, which makes it so hard to say whether you had it or not. Okay, so I'm going to start on here and just kind of go from there. Let's just give this a shot. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. All right, so I've got, you know what I think I should probably do? I wonder if I should have my, I kind of want to show the switch. But maybe what we could do, I hate to bring a third camera into the mix right now. Let's just start off here and I can just maybe do some B-roll of the Mac getting connected. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, so we have the switch. I think I already talked about that. Did we talk about that? No, I had just shown the switch, right? So 3, 2, 1. All right, so we have my switch connected. Now connected to this port here is my Mac Mini, and it's running at 10 gigabits per second, and we're going to be running some tests to it in a minute. Right here is my local gigabit connection, so I want to connect to the rest. Let me start again. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we're going to now give a, oops, hang on, let me try this again. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we're going to now hook this up to my Mac. So I'm going to plug the adapter into my Mac's USB-C port. Now on the switch here, you'll notice we've got a few more things connected. So we have a 10 gigabit connection right now over to my Mac Mini. And when I connect up the pluggable device here, what we should see on port number 2 when I plug it in is one green light on the right-hand side to indicate that it's getting a 2.5 gigabit connection. And it might be hard to see here, but indeed it is. Just got one light lit up here, and we're good to go there. The adapter here is blinking as well. And now what I'm going to do is load up my Mac, and we're going to run a program called Wi-Fi Perf. And what this does is it pushes a whole bunch of data over the network, and we're going to be pushing that data to the Mac over there. So that Mac has 10 gigabits of bandwidth to play with, and we should be able to saturate the full 2.5 on this adapter if all is working properly. Let's give that a shot. All right, I think that worked. Now, the other thing, by the way, that the governor said yesterday in Connecticut is that they've asked the hospitals to come back and report all of the flu-like symptoms that were not positive for flu since January. So there's definitely some reason to think that this has been percolating around the area for a while. And if you look at where the hotspots are in Connecticut, it's Fairfield County, which is very close to New York City. I go into New York all the time also, because I can take the train from where I am, like right in. I'm a little bit further, I'm about an hour from Fairfield if there's no traffic. But there's so many of us in my area that commute to New York City all the time also. So that's why I wouldn't be surprised if it's been kind of floating around my town for a while. But we won't know because we have no way to test to find out. All right, so we're going to call this connections. I'm just going to play this back real quick to make sure that it's good. I was so distracted by my HDMI problems that I just want to make sure that we've got a good thing here. I'm just going to move the Mac a little bit so that I can get the camera to pick it up. This might actually work out better because I can get in real tight on the screen. So we're going to zoom in, because what we're looking at is right on the side there. Let's wait for that screen to focus. And this is all because I'm live streaming. If I wasn't live streaming, I would have rebooted and we would have been all good. All right, let me get this. I'm going to position this way. Yeah, let me just refocus that a little bit. Yeah, so I shouldn't have to do a split screen. There's not much to see beyond what we're going to see for data, so this should work. Normally I would do that, but this will work. All right, so let's push some data down there. What I'm going to do real quick is just check on my Mac here to make sure that I am connected. So the USB here is the top level, so we're good. And we can even go into the advanced menu here and confirm. Let's see. Usually it'll tell you what speed you're running at. What's funny is it's showing it at 1000 base T, but it's actually, I know it's not doing that because I would have gotten 2 orange lights on there. Let's just see. Isn't that interesting, huh? It doesn't have that as an option. Well, let's see what happens. All right, so we're going to run that test real quick. And then I'll record it after we're sure that it works. Because if it doesn't work, I've got to do some troubleshooting. I'm just going to reduce the brightness on that camera a little bit. All right, that looks much better. Okay. So let's run that test. Yep, there you go. Now, Zergonzo, to your point, I think if once they start getting these antibody tests out in numbers, and anyone who wants to can get tested, I think you're going to see huge numbers of infection, huge numbers, because so many people being asymptomatic, I think it's going to be a very big number. So what we're looking at here, by the way, folks, is this right here. So you can see it's doing 2.3 gigabits. So that is exactly what we want. All right, perfect. So we're going to clear this out, and we're going to pick up the shot here. And actually, I want to watch my footage real quick, and then we will pick up the shot. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we're going to now hook this up to my Mac. So I'm going to plug the adapter into my Mac's USB-C port. Now on the switch here, you'll notice we've got a few more things connected. So we have a 10 gigabit connection right now over to my Mac Mini. And when I connect up the pluggable device here, what we should see on port number 2 when I plug it in is one green light on the right-hand side to indicate that it's getting a 2.5 gigabit connection. And it might be hard to see here, but indeed it is. Just got one light lit up here, and we're good to go there. The adapter here is blinking as well. And now what I'm going to do is load up my Mac, and we're going to run a program called Wi-Fi Perf. And what this does is it pushes a whole bunch of data over the network. Called Wi-Fi Perf. And what this does is it pushes a whole bunch of data over the network, and we're going to be pushing that data to the Mac over there. So that Mac has 10 gigabits of bandwidth to play with, and we should be able to saturate the full 2.5 on this adapter if all is working properly. Let's give that a shot. Okay, so I played that one spot back because it sounded like perk initially, but I think it was perf, so I think we should be fine. And additionally, you'll see it up there. Now this is running, in case you're wondering, this is an iPerf test, and this is a Mac client that runs it. And I found it to be really easy for me to use and demonstrate, so that's what I've been using. I'm just going to go wake up that Mac Mini, which just went to bed on the other side of the room here, and then we'll be able to run that test and wrap it up. All right. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we are ready to run the iPerf test here. We're going to click on Run to push data over to that Mac Mini. And what you want to look for is right where my mouse is here under that bandwidth column. And as you can see, we're going at pretty much full blast here. This is just over 2.3 gigabits per second. There's always some overhead when you're doing these kinds of tests, but this shows us that if you're hooked up to the right equipment on a USB-C connection, this will give you the bandwidth that they're advertising. And if you have a switch that can take a 2.5 gig adapter, you will benefit from just about every inch of the advertised speed here, which is really good to see. And we're going to now check and see how it does when we plug it into a regular old USB-A connection, just because this Mac has some pretty fast USB-C ports. So now we're going to try to slow that down a bit and see if it impacts the performance. All right. I think I might want to cut the end of that off, because we're not technically slowing anything down. I mean, the device is only going to run at that speed. Let me see how that looks, and we'll make a determination. Let me know what you all thought of that. So Eric is saying in the Amazon chat that he was sick for 4 days in January, and it went away. Yeah, and it was also a bad flu season. And it was funny because I remember watching the news, and the hospitals were like, they were full. The flu cases were really bad. And I was hearing like from friends like, oh my gosh, the hospital can't get into it right now. It's so packed with flu patients. So I don't know if they tested everyone for flu. A lot of people were testing for flu, but I think there was other stuff flowing around at that point too. Okay, so this is USB-C test. I'm just going to play this back real quick. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we are ready to run the iPerf test here. We're going to click on Run to push data over to that Mac Mini. And what you want to look for is right where my mouse is here under that bandwidth column. And as you can see, we're going at pretty much full blast here. This is just over 2.3 gigabits per second. There's always some overhead when you're doing these kinds of tests, but this shows us that if you're hooked up to the right equipment on a USB-C connection, this will give you the bandwidth that they're advertising. And if you have a switch that can take a 2.5 gig adapter, you will benefit from just about every inch of the advertised speed here, which is really good to see. And we're going to now check and see how it does when we plug it into a regular old USB-A connection, just because this Mac has some pretty fast USB-C ports. So now we're going to try to slow that down a bit and see if it impacts the performance. So I can live with that also. What do you all think? let me know. Let me know in that chat what you think. All right, so now we're going to disconnect the adapter from the Mac. And we're going to, I can actually demonstrate this on my overhead shot. So let me clear off this paper here. And I forgot I could use this shot. I'm still, this camera angle is new for me, so I'm still like, let's see if I can use that. So we'll just plug it into this adapter here. Because I know this is just this is not a Gen 2 port, nor is this a Gen 2 adapter, so it should work the same. The other question would be, do we plug it into another computer? But you know what? I think it's going to be fine with this. All right, so let's pick it up on here. And the nice part is I can just go right back to this shot, so we don't lose any momentum here. All right, so now, so I think I'll demo that, putting it back together there. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, so we're going to now put on the USB-A adapter onto the let me start that again. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we're going to put the USB-A adapter over the USB-C cable here, get that to snap in. And now I'm going to connect this up to this little hub that I've got here that has a USB 3 port. But this is one of those Gen 1 slower ports, so we know that this will be a slower port versus the one we just had it connected to directly to the Mac. And I will just wait for that to light up there, and it has. And we're going to jump back to the Mac now, and now we're going to run it over a regular old USB-A connection and see what we get. So we're going to start the test now, and I got to do this again because I think it opted over to Wi-Fi. So hang on a second, everybody. Let me just close that out. I just want to make sure that the network connection worked here. Okay, so it's connected. This actually might be interesting because if we don't get the same performance, now we've got to really troubleshoot this and figure out what the cause is. So I knew I'm asking for trouble if I do this, but let's see what happens. All right, so now we'll reboot the Wi-Fi perf. Okay, good. Okay. So it looks like we're getting the same results there. Okay, perfect. All right, so let's go over, let's see what I can save from that shot there. Home theater enthusiast is wondering if you could use this on a Synology device. It should work on a Synology. That's a good question, because would you get the 2.5 gigs? So here's my guess. You know what? Let's check that, because I think there's drivers that you have to get for Linux, and that might throw a wrench in your plan. Let me check that while we're setting up here. 2004 USB-A test. Okay. So let's go to DDR2. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we're going to put the USB-A adapter over the USB-C cable here, get that to snap in. And now I'm going to connect this up to this little hub that I've got here that has a USB 3 port. But this is one of those Gen 1 slower ports, so we know that this will be a slower port versus the one we just had it connected to directly to the Mac. And I will just wait for that to light up there, and it has. And we're going to jump back. All right, so we'll pick up here. Oops. 3, 2, 1. All right, so we're going to jump back to the Mac screen now and run that very same test again, but now through that slowed down USB-A connection, and there you go. We're getting pretty much the same bandwidth. Now, your mileage, of course, is going to vary based on your computer's USB. So you may or may not see these kinds of speeds on an older computer, but it looks here as though we're getting the full speed, whether we're connected up to a 5 gigabit per second USB-A port or a 10 gig USB-C. So altogether, it seems like we're getting good performance out of this adapter. All right, I think that'll work. And we'll check on that Linux question. Let's take a look on the plug. I'm just looking through the Pluggable website right now. These guys make a lot of stuff. Okay, so it looks like it'll run on Linux. So that, that's a really good question, if it would work or not. So give me a second. I got a few minutes. I could probably grab my Synology out of the closet and see what happens. All right, so we'll rename this to 1005 USB-A test. All right. So there you go. I think, let me go grab that Synology and just see, boot it up real quick and see if it'll work. You might lose my mic connection here real quick because I'm going into my concrete bunker. So let's have a look-see at that. That's a good question. So they said it'll work without a driver on newer kernel versions, but whether or not it will do the same on other stuff, I don't know. Ooh, I just dropped something. Hang on a second. This camera I was working on just fell off my thing there. All right, there we go. Okay, let's go back over here. And let's plug the Synology in and see what happens. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to purposely not connect the Synology. I'll show you what I'm doing here so you can get a peek. Let me go back to camera 2. Actually, this is a really good question because could we transfer at a faster data rate? That might make this video more interesting, wouldn't it? All right, so we're going to boot this thing up. And oops, I just closed my other computer. So what we'll do, actually, I think I'm done with the Big Mac right now, so we can unplug all this and move this out of the way. And we can slide in the Synology real quick. And this is my DS218. And what I'm going to do is just plug the adapter into the back of it, because it has 2 USB ports there. I'm not going to connect it to the So I'm not going to connect it to the regular Ethernet. And let's see if it detects that adapter when it comes up. And we'll know based on whether or not it lights up here on the switch. And we'll see what happens. Yeah, Travis, I was looking at the specs, so I said, well, I guess if they didn't make it a Gen 2 adapter, we should see the same performance. But it's always good to check, because somebody will ask, what happens if I... But the price point on this one is good. $39, not a bad deal. So Home Theater Enthusiast suggested the Synology question, so we will take a look at that. He's in the Amazon chat. And I think what I'm going to do here is add the Synology to our stream right now, because that would actually be a really cool way to get more performance out of your Synology box. So it did light up. So we have a shot here. Let's take a look and see what happens here. I'm just going to add this to our Amazon product carousel real quick. It's 218 plus. And once that thing beeps, we'll know that it's online and ready to go. All right, so we are. This is actually a really good suggestion. Okay, so we are up and running. This might actually be a second video, maybe? I don't know. Let's see. Bilal is here from Kashmir. Welcome. Okay, so it's up and running. It is on the network. So now I just got to figure out what its IP address is. So let me grab my little app here. I've got this app called Discovery, which pings everything on the network so I can figure out exactly where it is. Oh, great. It's not on right now because I have that thing that the phone like automatically erases the apps when you're not using them. And I must have not used that one in a while. Okay, so the bad news is that it doesn't appear to be on the network, even though it's connected to the network. But it doesn't mean that we couldn't find some drivers to get it to work, right? But it wasn't as simple as a plug and play. But let's try unplugging it and plugging it back in again and see if that makes any difference. Because can you imagine if you could get this to work and you could totally double the speed of your Synology for 40 bucks? That would be a good deal. I may write to Pluggable and see if they have a solution for that, because that would be a killer feature of this thing. So oddly, it is getting connected. And I'm wondering now, yeah, I'm not seeing it there. So you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug this in. Let's plug it into the network on the back and just see if, log into its control panel and just see if we're able to get to a place to configure that. Because that would be, like I said, that would be super, super cool if we can get that to work. So bear with me for 1 second here. We're going to go take a look at that device. And it is, my dog is going to be very unhappy with me because I came upstairs before the stream to go just grab a snack, and then I usually take her out around that time. It's kind of rainy today, so I've been reluctant to do that. And she gave me a look like, you're not going back down there, are you? And I said, yes, I kind of am. The kids could care less, but the dog was very unhappy. Smoke Monster is here. Welcome, Smoke Monster. We are playing with 2.5 gigabit Ethernet adapters today. What are you doing? And Smoke Monster, maybe you should come on my stream. That would be kind of fun, because I got the RGB working on my Mister. So my dad gave me this old TV a while ago, like 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It's been up there forever. And I was lurking behind the TV the other day, and what do you know? It had component RGB inputs on it. What? So I bought a cable, and it's awesome. I'm totally involved with RGB. Now I know why everybody's so into it, because it's such a clean image out of a CRT. It's crazy. So Smoke Monster, I will email you and we'll come up with a time, because I think everyone would find it fun, because I haven't done a Mister update in a while, and I've done a lot to my Mister since the last video. All right, so I'm just going to look in the control panel here, because I'm really curious now if there's a way to make this work. I'm just looking through it on my thing here. I don't think there is, but let me look up external. So USB, Ethernet, and Synology. I haven't even thought about connecting up this to a, because this is the big thing. You know, these Synologies, they're all super fast, but they're bottlenecked by their connection. So, and somebody's asking about using a 5 gig adapter. And you know what's funny? I can't show you this because my screen sharing thing is not working at the moment. But somebody suggests this in their forum there, and then everyone's like, "You don't need to do that. You can just do link aggregation and all blah, blah, blah." Like, you know how much work that is, and how much extra stuff you need to get that. But it appears as though Synology at the moment doesn't support that, but there is a GitHub driver package for USB 3 dongles that might work with it. Oh boy. Yeah, so we're not going to have time for this today, but this is going to be another video because, again, think about this. You can double the speed potentially, so you could, let's say you got the full, let's say you just got 2 gigabits out of that adapter. This thing would be running at 200 megabytes per second over the network versus 1, provided you have, one of these expensive things right there. So yeah, that's pretty cool. You know what I'm going to do? And this is a Realtek chip in here too, so this should work with this thing I'm looking at. Oh, it's an actual package. How about that? So it's just a package you install. So download drivers and releases page. You know what? This might be simple enough that I could do it real quick now, and then we can do a video on it later. Okay, so this is exciting. Okay, so we go to, and this is the Apollo Lake, I think. I think it's got Apollo Lake inside. So it's just like a package that installs on here, so it shouldn't even be that hard to get it to work. So bear with me for a second, folks. Let's go to the package center. And the good thing is that I did the freshly microwave things this week, so dinner's gonna be super quick to prepare for the missus, so I can spend a little bit more time down here. And let's go over to the thing here. I'm just gonna install this real quick, and if it crashes, it crashes. The good thing is this is my experimental device, so I can just mess around with it. But we'll come back to this if this works, because this could be super awesome. Okay, it's installed. So now, if I unplug this and plug this in. Okay, so now we've connected the device up again, and it probably is going to get a new IP address. I would imagine it would. So let's see if it's still on the network. I'll bring my computer over here so you can kind of see what I'm doing. Discovery app. So it's still on 130, huh? So the IP address is still the same, but it's timing out on me. So let's see if this may not be as elegant as the built-in Ethernet. Why don't we reboot it real quick and just see if that does it. So we'll have it shut down, and then we'll reboot and see what happens. Fun experiments. And it's got to shoot the outro. Make sure I don't forget to do that. So Bilal from Kashmir wants to know where I'm in Connecticut in the United States. So we are far away from each other. I had a friend that was from Kashmir, a college friend of mine. Yes, the Soundman says, so it's been funny because the QNAP devices do have 10 gig ports on. In fact, I got to get to this. I have a NAS from TerraMaster that also has 10 gig. But if you think about it, if you could buy a $40 device that could breathe some new life into your existing Synology box, like that's the kind of stuff we do on this channel. And as Travis points out, 2.5 gigabits from one cable is far better than dual gigabit link aggregation. Absolutely it is. And it's easier to set up too, because all you got to do is plug it in. There's no configuration and all the other junk that you got to do. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, we're not going to put this in the video I'm doing right now, but I think we will come back and do that. That might be another live stream, actually. If this sort of works, we'll come back and shoot that as a live stream, because this will be a really cool thing to do. And that adds some significant value. And you don't just get the benefit of this either for a one-to-one, because it improves the overall bandwidth that you have available to everything on the network. So let's say for the sake of argument, I've got two 10 gig devices and this thing on here, and then it's hooked up to the rest of my network a gigabit. I could be drawing a gigabit out of this thing and still getting a gigabit to one of the other two devices here on this switch. Yeah, Pluggable does good stuff. I think they're actually, it's funny, their business model is very similar to how my family's old glove business used to work, in that they source product and brand it and support it. But the quality is good. They don't sell you junk. And I think that's what I like about Pluggable, is that. All right, so we're going to let this boot up again. So I just did a reboot to see if maybe that would get the ball rolling on that. So when it starts beeping again, we'll check that and see how it goes. Well, it's good. I didn't think I'd do an hour on this, and this turned out to be a good stream. So we're going to try this real quick, and then I'm going to add to my list of things to do, if this does work, is to explore this topic a bit more, because I think this is an interesting way to get more value out of your existing device. And I'm sure Synology would not want you to do this, because they'd rather sell you a new NAS, which is probably why they're not directly supporting the connection of a USB adapter. Although it seems as though, from what I'm reading, that QNAP does let you plug in a 5 gig adapter. And I guess there are some 5 gig adapters out there. I haven't seen any yet. Okay. So we're connected. And let's see if it shows up on the network now. If it doesn't, I will play with this offline and we'll figure. Oh, it is on. Okay. And what's the IP? Oh, it's not on. I'm checking my little list of devices here, and it is not getting an IP. So we're going to have to play around with this a bit more. Because my Bonjour list has it listed, but there's no IP underneath it. So I think it's just like a remnant on the network. Yeah, let's just try to unplug it and plug it back in again. And if it works like this, where you got to continually plug things back in, that's not going to be ideal either. But let's see here. Yeah, Soundman says the QNAP has card. Yeah, so the QNAPs are more like little PCs, right? They're and actually I have another thing I've got to look at also, which is that QNAP. It's a QNAP switch that has a NAS built into it. So it's like a PoE switch, and it's a NAS. It's all these other things too. Yeah, this is not working right now, but we're going to come back to that, because I think it's possible to get it working, and somebody's come up with a package that could make it work. So that's going to be my weekend tinkering project, I think. So that is that. Okay. So I'm just going to shut this down. I'm going to move it out of the way. So Home Theater Enthusiast wants to know what the price is of the QNAP. They're about the same. And TerraMaster has one also that does 10 gig. And we did a live stream a little while back. It's one of those things where I started setting it up and I haven't gotten it all put together yet. Part of the problem, with some of these things, is that the name brand devices tend to do better for me from a traffic standpoint. So my motivation is to focus on QNAP and Synology, just because they market more and there's more traffic on those videos. Because it takes a long time to review a NAS device. There's a lot of time investment, and if I'm not, I'm not charging these companies for reviews. It's against my policy. So if there's not a lot of consumer interest in the product, the video doesn't do well, and that's part of the strategy. So I'm going to get to it though, because it does perform better than the Synology does for pretty much the same price. So there's that, but the other side is that the Synology operating system is so much more robust. So. Let's zoom in on this thing real quick here. Here we go. Travis says if you have to come back to it, yeah. So if you all know of any 5 gig adapters about this size, I'll be happy to get one. Because if we're going to do the 2.5, we may as well do the 5. My Switch can handle it, right? So Why not? Let's just test them all. That's what we're supposed to do. Okay, so we got that done. All right, so we'll cut back to this. All right, 3, 2, 1. So that's going to do it for this quick 3, 2, 1. So that's going to do it for this look at the pluggable 2.5 gig adapter. It seems to be performing as advertised. I think this might be something we come back to in future videos because I've gotten some feedback as I've been live streaming the recording of this review to try it out with Synology NAS devices. So maybe we'll plug it into some other stuff and see if we can squeeze some more network performance out of things that have been locked at gigabit speed. So if you have some suggestions for what we can plug this into, let me know in the comments down below and we will come back and do some follow-ups with this in the near future. If you know of any 5 gig adapters also, let me know down there too, and we'll try to get one in for review as well. That's going to do it for now. Until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching. All right. Boom, another video done. I've had a productive week, even though I've had a lot of interruptions to my work. So that is that. So Technotix says, Synology dropped the ball on their 2600 router. Apparently there's a firmware bug. You know, I wonder if there was something going on with the router because I had, and you know, I'm wondering now if it was my router. So what was that bug, Technotix? Because what happened to me was I sat down here to do my work as I usually do, and when my TriCaster came back up, it was crashing. And then any device in my house that was using NDI video, which I use a lot because we transit video over the network here in the house, those things were crashing. Even like the PC, the Mac, everything was crashing. And I was like going out of my mind because I had a whole bunch of stuff to do. I couldn't get it done. And it turns out it was the switch, the router. When I pulled the router out of the network and put another one in, it just started working. So what I ended up doing is I switched to I'm going to have a video on this soon, the Unify Dream Machine that they had sent me a little while ago. I switched to that, and I'm loving it because I was already using the Unify Wi-Fi access points. So now I've got all of my IoT devices that use Wi-Fi on their own VLAN, and it's isolated from the rest of the network. And to my surprise, I did not need any smart switches to get that to work. It just works. I don't know how it works, but it works. And so now, like all my IoT, like the light switch for my overhead lights, all that stuff, it's on a separate Wi-Fi network, and it's completely isolated from the rest of it. So it's really, really good. Soundman says the TriCaster TC1 is 10 gig Ethernet. Don't tempt me. And here's the other thing. I've been, so I'm still on the same TriCaster that I bought in 2014. You know, it has its moments, but it's by and large has been a very, I mean, it's more than paid for itself over the last 6 years I've used it. And I feel like I need something new, even though there's nothing wrong with the one I have. The one thing I would do the one reason why I would upgrade to the new one, they have a new TriCaster Mini. It can record 4K, and all of my cameras do 4K also. So even though most people aren't watching at 4K, if I were to shoot at 4K, even the 1080p video should look slightly better. So that's part of the reason why I was thinking about doing that upgrade. But it's expensive. And in the course of that, I was looking at vMix, which I've been playing with on my gaming laptop. And I'll tell you what, for what I do, I am super impressed with vMix. You know, it does pretty much everything that I'm doing on the TriCaster. It does the streaming, it does the multi-layered effects, it can run, you know, all the little 2-ups and 3-ups that I do. It can do all of that, and it really likes computers with NVIDIA GPUs. So if you got that, you've got the ability essentially to run your own thing. And then I started playing with, I've been playing with all this other stuff on vMix, and I'm going to this rabbit hole with it. So it does NDI, which is great. It does NDI better than OBS does NDI because it doesn't rely on the plugin, it's built in. And the other thing I was playing with last night, which is really cool, is something called SRT. Now that's not the subtitling thing. It is a secure, reliable transport, I think is what the analogy is. And what I can do with it is I can connect my phone to the VLAN when I'm away, all right? I can hit a button on this little camera app on the phone, and I can beam in video remotely over a cellular network from my phone into vMix and have it work like another video source. You can just switch it right in. And of course, it's going to depend on your connection and everything else, but it's really neat how that's working. And then I'm like, ooh, that's cool. What else supports SRT? Well, it turns out Teradek's core service, which we played with when I reviewed the Teradek Video Go. I'm going way into the video geekery here. Their core service is one of these bonded streaming systems where if you have their Teradek Go unit, I don't do this much live streams, I'm not buying this, but it's something I would just love to have. You have two cellular modems hanging off the side of it. So you could have one on Verizon, one on AT&T. And then you can connect the middle portion to Wi-Fi. And then you've got like 3 bonded connections of your video going up to their server. It consolidates everything and streams it back out. So you could stream it to Facebook, YouTube, everything else. But you could also have it go out to SRT. So you could have a bonded connection to core and then pipe it into your production at central control with SRT coming from core, and you could have 3 backup bonded connections sending that video out. All sorts of cool stuff. So yeah, so vMix, and I see Smoke Monster's in here, and Smoke Monster is like a master of OBS. You should download vMix and try it. It's free for like 60 days, and you will be you're a ninja on OBS already. You're gonna love vMix because it's more stable. It's rock solid. It'll do 3 streams at once. It lacks the plugins that you could find in OBS for all the fancy stuff like so-and-so gives you money or whatever. But it has some other features that I think are pretty cool. One of them is a feature that is called vMix Social, and it will aggregate comments from Twitch, YouTube. Does it do Twitch? I think it does Twitch. Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. Maybe it doesn't do Twitch. It does YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter and IRC. And then you can grab those comments as they're being made and drop them in as a lower third, which is pretty cool. So, but yeah, vMix is cool. Samian says a lack of a control panel. So I think it might work with, I don't know if they have a control surface. So if you're a TriCaster person used to that control surface, you don't get that on vMix. But I never bought the control surface with mine. So this is, I use this, and I have to program. What happened was I didn't program all the keys into this thing. So I have like my I can't show you right now, but my center button on my little X key here is my cut back and forth. I have to reprogram all the buttons on this thing. But I generally use this pad here. And I have my first 4 inputs configured along with my 4 MEs. But what I need to do is configure my 5, 6, 7, and 8. Because when I first got the TriCaster, I was never using, I was only using the HDMI inputs. But now that I have NDI, I use NDI for a lot. And now that you can do NDI capture from your iPhone, I don't have to plug it into the TriCaster anymore. I can just beam it in, which is so much easier. So there's so much cool stuff. Blackmagic's doing some fun stuff. This is one of the things that, like, for me as a video nerd, I've been a video nerd since I was like 8 or 10 or whatever. It's just like if you had told me that I would do this for a living, I'd be like, the future is going to be awesome. Minus the fact that we're living through a global pandemic. But meanwhile, I can just sit here in my basement and keep working. So that's that. Eric B says, when I hear SRT, I think of Dodge Street and racing technology. Yeah, it's funny how they pick like this acronym that people use in a couple of other different contexts. So Greg, was there anything announced at Blackmagic's event? I'd love to know. Because that A10 Mini is a really good little video switcher. I lent it to so a friend of mine is a minister, and he needed he wanted the switcher to do his services because he's obviously by himself in the church now. So, but yeah, good stuff. Okay, so I've got to get upstairs here. Oh, the Mini Pro, seriously? Oh my goodness. Is there a Mini Pro? Do I have to go buy that now? What does that do? Oh no. Oh, this is going to cost me so much money. What does this thing do that the other one doesn't do? I knew they would do this because, okay, so it looks like the other one. I wish I could show you my screen right now because everything, I actually can show you this one. let's look at this together, and then we'll close it out because my wife's going to start looking for me soon. Because even though we're doing the microwave freshly meals this week, if I'm not putting it in the microwave, I'm going to be hearing about it. And I got to feed the children too. So I'm in charge of dinner. So that's how I have. If you saw my video about working from home, what I did when I first started working from home is I took on all the dinner preparation for the family. And I did that for a couple of reasons. One is that I've been learning how to cook better, but also because it gets me to end the day, because I could sit down here just blabbering away for hours. So, all right, so let us look at the ATEM Mini Pro. All right, so this is the existing Mini, I think. It is. Okay, so let's go and look at ATEM Mini. Let's go to products here and see if we can find it. So let's go to ATEM switchers, ATEM Mini. They didn't put it on their site here yet because it looks like there was somebody talked about, let me find it on YouTube or Google here, ATEM Mini Pro. Blackmagic's, okay, here's Engadget. Oh, interesting. So they integrated, can broadcast without software. So the other one required you to have a PC. And so this has all the features of the base model, including 4 HDMI inputs, chroma key, 12-channel mixing, and built-in video editor. Ooh, $595. That's a good deal. So I don't understand why they would the Elgato Stream Deck Mini. Isn't that just a control surface? Why would they compare that to the other thing? Let's see what they're talking about there. Unless Elgato's got something now I got to go look at too. Yeah, it's just a controller. So why? I don't get it. Why would they say that's overkill? That's utter overkill for most streamers, many of whom would be better served by a simple device. No, it's not, because they need the computer. You don't need the computer to stream with this thing. It's funny when these tech writers don't get it. So I guess it looks like the big difference here. See, I'm not sure this article has it all together here, so we should check into a few other things here. So Adam says I should get, yeah, I'm working on the lighting here. Actually, what I'm going to be doing soon is killing my overhead lights and then lighting that background differently. And I'm going to try to get some more bokeh in the shot too to make it look a little less flat. But I was watching the 8-bit guy the other day, and his is lit up like mine is. And I'm like, you know what? It's working for him. Let's see. Here's the news release. Let's take a look at the news release here. The ATEM Mini Pro. This is all the stuff we would have seen at NAB this year had it happened. Okay, so the ATEM Mini Pro, even more horsepower, plus the ability to use it with more platforms. The Mini Pro can record the live program directly to a USB drive for editing or direct upload to different platforms. So that's cool. Doesn't do H.265 though. Includes camera control. That's cool. You can send time code. That might be useful for the professionals out there. Oh, it's got a multi-viewer, which was the big knock on the Mini, which that it didn't have a multi-viewer. That's a good deal, I think. And look, if you're just trying to get something quick and easy, $595, no computer necessary, you're done. You know, you need a computer maybe to start the streams and stuff, but it looks like it can stream out directly, right? Is that what they say it's doing, or is it just the recording aspect? So this is what the hard part would be doing this review, is I would have to repeat everything that I did for the Mini. A direct recording. So is that it? It doesn't do streaming. Huh? Well, I guess it must if it's got the H.264 in there. We'll get one. We'll try it out. All right. Okay, everybody. Let me see if I missed any chat here. All right, so everybody, I am going to, thank you for the help, Smoke Monster 2, on the moderation there. I am going to call it a night, but I thank you all for tuning in. Our next project is going to see what we can hook this thing up to beyond what we just did. And thank you all for tuning in. I might do like a video too where we try to relight my set. That might be kind of fun. And what I might do is pre-announce the time on that so I could get people in who know what they're doing. I did get some lighting training at the YouTube space a little while back. So it might be a fun one to kind of redo the atmosphere, if you will. Okay, friends, thank you for tuning in. We're going to end the Amazon stream now. So thank you everyone for watching on Amazon. I appreciate that. And thank you all for watching on YouTube. I appreciate that too. Lewis is having tacos. I wish I had tacos. I'd have to make them. We have a taco place that's delivering right now, so that's on the docket for this weekend. Smoke Monster, thank you for tuning in as well. I enjoy your streams. Smoke Monster's got great lighting. He's an artist. I am not. Aaron Johnson, thank you for tuning in. Glad you all. It's always good when stuff like mostly works, minus the screen problems we were having. So cool. All right, everybody. I'll be back soon. Stay inside. Wash your hands. All that good stuff. We're going to get through this. It's almost over, hopefully. And hopefully everything we're doing just to keep ourselves away from others will make a big difference. So listen to your local authorities and wash those hands. Okay, everybody. I will talk to you very soon. Bye-bye.